Welcome everyone to a session on Unix programming. In today's session, we will look into the various concepts of files in Unix and some of the basic commands with respect to files. But before that, we'll see the various techniques of combining commands. Okay, so when I talk about combining commands, I'm talking about writing multiple commands in the same line. Okay, so this is possible by separating two commands in the same command line with the semicolon. Okay, so here we have two commands, the wc with the option minus hyphen l for, and a.txt is passed as a file name. So what this calculates the number of lines present in a.txt. Okay, and we have another command which is written on the same line, that is date command, right? So what output is expected? So output of wc minus l will be shown in line 1, and in the next line, the second line, the output of date command will be displayed. Okay, so this is how you can combine multiple commands in the same line. Okay, now we'll see one more feature here. The same two commands which is explained above is written within the brackets and within the parenthesis, and these, the output of these is passed to a file called as new list. So what happens here is, instead of giving the output to the standard output file, which is the monitor, the output is given to it is redirected using this symbol, okay, greater than symbol, and the output is stored in a file called as new list. And what if the file new list doesn't exist in my directory? So in that case, new list file will be automatically created, and it will be having the content of wc command and date command. Okay, in the same order how it would have been displayed on the screen. Let us see what exactly a root login is. So Unix is a multi-user environment, and in a multi-user environment we require an admin of a system, right? And this admin in Unix language is called as root. Okay, so how can anyone log in as a root user? So when a login prompt is displayed by the system, the username should be root, and the legitimate password with respect to the root username should be entered. So this password is normally set during the installation of the system. So if the password matches with the login name, then the user become the admin of the system. Okay, he becomes the root user of the system, and Unix specifies that you are the root user by displaying a hash command prompt. So for a normal user, it is the dollar is displayed as the command prompt, right? Command prompt symbol. Okay, so this hash specifies that you are the special user, you are the super user, and you are the admin of the system. And this admin of the system will be having some special privileges which is not normally available for the regular users. Okay, and some of the commands can be executed only by the admin of the system, which exist under sbin file. Okay, or under user there is a sbin file. Okay, both comes under the root directory. Now, can anyone who has logged in as a normal user, can they become can they get the privileges of a root user? This is possible only if you know the password of a root user. Okay, password of an admin. So after logging in as a normal user, by making use of the su command, super user command, it is possible to acquire the privileges of a root user. So this dollar, see, as you can see, the dollar represent that you are a normal user, and su command is used. When a su command is executed, it will ask for the password of a root user. If a valid legitimate password is entered, then the normal user will get the privileges of a root user. Okay, so two things are very important here. uh, making use of su command, and more importantly, the password of the root user should be known. Okay. Now let us see the concept of files in Unix. So before going through naming files, we have to understand what exactly a file is, right? File is nothing but a storage, it's a container for storing information. So any information that need to be stored in a system has to be stored in a form of a file, right? Okay. Now, and the specialty about Unix is it sees everything as a file. Even directories and hardware devices are seen as a file. Okay. We'll come to the concept of naming a file. So, file name can consist of practically any ASCII characters except forward slash, because that represents the root directory, and the null character, which is the equivalent ASCII value is 0, right? So, except these two, the file name can virtually consist of anything. Okay. So, even users are permitted to use control characters or other unprintable characters in a file name. So what do you mean by control characters? So if I press control V, so even that is a valid character in my file name. So normally when we press control V, we get this symbol, right? Which is, or control C if I press, I'll get these symbols. So this is also totally valid in my file name. Okay. So let us see some of the examples. So these are some of the valid example for a file name. So I can have dot in the beginning followed by a file name, dot at the end, then so these are the control characters what I am talking about. Okay. Then special characters I can use, and I can use multiple dots also, right? So except uh, forward slash and null character, I can use any of the characters in my ASCII range as a part of the file name. Okay. But there are few recommendation that shouldn't be used as a part of the file name. Okay. So these are a dollar, a question mark, star, and okay, even hyphen in the beginning. So why it should not be used? Because all these symbols are having some special meaning in the command when used in the command line, right? For example, see, if I name my file name as dot l, okay, so this is totally fine. This is totally fine according to the privileges that is given in Unix to name a file, right? But now suppose just assume I want to find the total number of lines present in this file, okay, or total number of words present in this file. So what am I supposed to do? I have to make use of wc command, right? But if I want to pass hyphen l as a file name, I'll pass it in the command line, but hyphen l is a valid option with respect to l, right? With respect to wc, right? So this will create problem. Okay. So it is recommended not to make use of hyphen in the beginning. And also, see, dollar, for example, if I name a file as a dollar $x, okay, so this dollar $x actually represent the value of a variable x, right? So this will create a problem again, right? So this shouldn't be used. So it is just a recommendation not to make use of these symbols in the file name. Okay. Let us see the various basic file types that are categorized in Unix. Okay. Unix basically categorizes the entire file system into three types. The first one being ordinary file or regular file, and this still can be further categorized into text file or binary file. So what is the difference between text file and a binary file? So any file that contains a textual information, in other words, which contains printable characters, are called as text file. So example would be any text file, C programming files, shell scripts, Java file, Python program files. So all these can be considered as a text file. So what would be a binary file? So binary file contains both the textual information, that is a printable character, as well as characters which are unprintable, ranging from the entire ASCII range 0 to 255. And most of the Unix commands are binary file, and also image files and video files can be considered as an example of a binary file. Okay. The second major category is directory file. So as previously said, Unix consider everything as a file, including the directories. And this directory file contains no data, but keeps some details of the files and subdirectories that it contains. Okay. Suppose there are 20 files and subdirectories under a working directory, then it contains this directory, working directory file will have 20 entries, and each entry will have two components, one being the file name and a unique identification number for the file or the subdirectory. We call this unique identification number as inode number. Okay. And the last category of file is the device file. Okay. So what is a device file? So any hardware devices in the system is also seen as a file. So suppose now if the system want to access keyboard or monitor, then it has to access a file that is associated with these hardware devices. Okay. And all these file names of a device file will be found under a single directory structure called as DEV. Okay, so under the root directory we have a file name called as a directory called as DEV, which contains the device file names. Okay. Hidden files. There are certain files present in the system which are normally hidden. Okay, and name of these hidden files starts with the dot. So often they are found in the home directory, and these are some of the examples for a hidden file. So we have this is actually a single dot is a directory, hidden directory, and this is also hidden directory, a special directory which we will be looking very soon. And then dot profile is an example for a hidden file, and dot exrc is also an example for a hidden file. So whenever I make use of ls command, normally these hidden files will not be displayed. Okay. So if I want to make use of if I want to view the hidden files present in my system, present in my working directory, then I have to make use of ls with an option a. So ls space hyphen a will give me a list of all the files including the hidden files. Okay. Let us see what exactly dot profile is. The file dot profile contains a set of instructions that are performed when a user logs in. So these files are actually created by the system, not by the user. And dot exrc is also a hidden file that is associated with the vi editor. Okay. So it contains sequence of instructions for the vi editor. So these two directory, hidden directory files, dot and double dot, are very special directories. They are automatically created by the system when a new directory is created, and it represents current working directory and parent working directory. So dot represents current working directory and two dots represent its parent. Okay. So this is very essential in holding the file system all together. Okay. And plays a major role in the structure of the file system. And these files cannot, these directories, special directories cannot be deleted, nor you can edit it. Okay. Let us look into the parent child relationship in a Unix file system tree. Okay. So as previously mentioned, the parent of all the directory is represented as forward slash, which is called as the root directory. So under root directory I have multiple, so these which comes at a single level, bin, dev, etc, home, lib, etc, are considered as a child of the root directory, child of the root directory. Okay. And the relationship between themselves, I can say that bin is a sibling of dev. Okay. And there are certain files which are present under bin. Okay. So cat, date, who, so these are nothing but some of the executable commands, right? So as already said, the existence of external command lies under bin. So cat is a file whose parent is bin and whose grandparent is root. Okay. And with respect to bin, cat is uh, a child file, is a child, and with respect to root, cat, date and who are the grandchildren, okay, with respect to files, talking with respect to files, okay. um, so this is a typical structure representing a parent child relationship in a file, okay. And normally when a user login, he will be, each and every user who logs into the system will be placed under their own username, which is a subdirectory, or which is a child of a directory called as home, okay. For example, Kumar is one of the user who is residing or whose directory is residing under home, and he is having three files, right? Login.sql, procs, and save. Okay. So this is about the parent-child relationship in Unix file system tree. Now let us look into the various standard directories in the Unix file hierarchy. First one being bin and bin under user directory called as user, okay. So this slash bin represent here, this first slash represent the parent directory, and in this file, in this directory name, the first slash represent directory under which there is a directory called as user, and the next slash, forward slash, represent the delimiter. It is actually not here, it is not the root directory, it is just the delimiter separating the parent user from its child bin, okay. So only the first occurrence at the beginning, when you, if you find slash, then that is represented, that represents root directory. The rest are just the delimiters, okay. And as previously said, these are the directories which contains commonly used Unix commands. So all the external commands are stored here, right? Okay. So we'll see the next one, sbin or sbin under user directory. So these are the directories that contains commands that can be executed only by the system admin, okay. etc. So etc is a directory under root directory. So this directory contains configuration file of the system, and we can change a very important aspect of the system functioning by editing a text file in this directory. So password and login name related information are found under etc, okay. Slash dev, so this directory contains it's a directory that contains all the device files, okay. These files do not occupy space on disk. Then we have lib and lib under user directory. So this contains all the library files in the binary form, and we will need to link our C programs with files in these directories, okay. Then we have include under user. So this contains the standard header files used by the C program. Yeah, under user there is a directory called as share, under which we have a directory called as man, or the file called as man. So this is where the man pages are stored, okay. So man pages has so what it does, it displays, or with the help of man command, we will be able to know the working of the functioning of each and every commands, right? So all these documentations are found under this directory, okay. So these are the files that would change as more software or utilities are added to the systems, okay. And user also work with their own files, right? So they write programs, they send and receive mail, and also create a temporary files. So these files are available in the next group of directories, which is shown below. The first one being temp, okay. So the temp, what it does, it contains the directories where users are allowed to create temporary files, and these files are wiped away regularly by the system, okay. So regularly the content of a tmp will be cleared by the system itself. Then var, which is short form for variable. The variable, this contains a variable part of the file system, consists all uh, our print jobs and our outgoing and incoming mail, okay. Last one, home, as already explained. On many systems, the user are housed here, or under home, you will be having directories that represents the home directory of each and every user, that is those are using the system, okay. So these are the various standard directories in Unix file hierarchy. Okay, that's it. We'll see you in the next one.